Yes, geezers and geezettes. It is Monday. It's 12 o'clock. Monday check-ins have been boxed off. This is my busier check-in day. I'm absolutely buzzing that although I've had a great time, the stag do's are out the way. One of my best friend's weddings was on Friday. That was great. We had the in-laws come over yesterday and feed us, and I allowed myself to be off plan for that and just sort of bank calories during the day. So body weight's up today, but I did get stuck in. I allowed it, and that's the first time I've really let myself get stuck in with like food since starting this fat loss phase on the 8th of March. So we're like 5 weeks in, just over 5 weeks in. Body weight at the highest was like 197 to 198 the day I started. I think it was 197 on the day, but I had the shits the day before, so that obviously skewed things. And the lowest body weight so far has been 186.2. So that's 11 pounds, and that was about 4 weeks in. After yesterday's off-plan meal and the wedding on Friday, body weight's up to 189.8. So I'm like 3.5 pounds up, almost 4 pounds up, and I'm feeling full, like definitely way more vascular, way fuller, all that great stuff. But that's kind of it for now. Straight back to getting stuck in. Although I did enjoy the meal yesterday, the Meals on Wheels from the in-laws, and you know, having that time with family, and I enjoyed the wedding on the weekend on Friday. If I'm being honest, the meal yesterday was like, you know, worth getting stuck in for. The wedding, in hindsight, I wish I'd have done what I'd done for the stag do's and either not drank at all or had a couple spirits and then navigated the food even better. It's not worth it for me. I'd rather make sick progress. But here we are. So we're gonna push on. Probably another 7 weeks with this fat loss phase, do a 12 week, and shave off probably from the lowest so far of 186.2, shave off probably another 7 pounds, which is nowhere near as aggressive as I've done fat loss phases in the past. And with clients that are holding more body fat, I'll definitely go way more aggressive than a pound a week. I'll usually go like 1% of body weight per week. But I'm just seeing how the process goes for me in this circumstance. What I'm finding is, one, it doesn't even really feel like I'm restrictive. But two, my performance, other than on pressing movements, like free weight pressing movements like bench press, other than that one movement, which was bound to take a bit of a shot anyway, because I was going from a hyper specific way of training that when I was powerlifting, doing some kind of bench pressing, free weight pressing 4 times a week to then do it once a week. I was bound to see a performance dip in that anyway, but other than that movement, which I'm taking out now, incline Smith, all my pull movements, all my leg movements, all my bicep movements, calves, everything is getting better. My performance is flying and it feels easy. I've also got the birth of my second child coming up any time now. Baby is due on the 21st of April and today is the 13th. We also got a private scan that said the 14th is when baby's due, which is tomorrow. So baby's due any time now. I did do a photo shoot when Florence was born, and I did a really aggressive fat loss phase, hour of cardio a day, 1500 calories, dropped about 16 pounds in like 7 weeks. And it worked, obviously, but I was definitely highly fatigued. Along with the sleep deprivation, it definitely cost me a bit in terms of just generally how I felt. Like I had like some lightheaded spells, went really dizzy training a client, like the room was spinning. I had some heart palpitations as well, which is a lot down to sleep deprivation, but Also, what I've found is I don't really get the heart palpitations as bad or as frequent if I'm not like in a big calorie deficit, and using caffeine to help compensate both energy levels and hunger. So yeah, we're trying it out anyway. I used to be too impatient for it, but I'm quite enjoying it. And I think you can do it either way. You can either do it a bit slower, like I'm kind of doing it now. I say slow, I did lose 11 pounds in 4 weeks, which is very quick, but now I'm getting leaner. And I'm still not lean, but I'm in a position where, what am I rushing for? I ain't really got an end date, so I may as well do 12 weeks, which isn't a long time, and slowly get this body fat off and see where we're at. So yeah, pull going down. I'll see you in there, and I'll likely do a voiceover of the exercises rather than talking in the gym. I feel like that's the best way to go, because it's distracting talking to my camera whilst I'm training. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. I'll see you in there, and then we might do a bit of a debrief after as well. Peace. So then, here we are into the session. I'm starting every session, or as many sessions in the week as I can, with calves at the minute, literally because genetically I don't really have any, and I've been doing powerlifting training for the last 18 months where it's not really been a mainstay in my program. So starting every session with these. If they're really achy one day, I won't train them, but it's been working. Like, strength's going up as I'm dropping body fat. Definitely, hopefully, getting some newbie gains anyways. Main things with these, just a nice slow tempo, pause in either end, top and bottom, making sure I'm not just using my Achilles tendon just to bounce out the bottom. And yeah, that's about it. Trying to make it look like I've got more than just a shin, but this will take time, I'm sure. Then, I know this is weird to start a pull session, we're also doing biceps, which is something I've never really done before. And, in the last couple of years since I've trained for physique enhancement, there seemed to be a little bit of a progression in the way people are thinking outside the box of the program, which I fucking absolutely love. So it's been exciting coming back into it and just taking stuff from what other people are doing. And it's nothing crazy. It's just like, okay, start your sessions with your weakest body parts, which is nothing groundbreaking. It's some stuff I've done before, and this is a very simple principle. It's called the priority principle, something I've known about for probably 15 years. Start the session where you've got the most energy, the most resources. You're not fried yet, you're most focused. Start with the body parts you want to bring up, which for me, I'd say is arms and calves. Obviously, I want to get big all around, but yeah, this is why we're starting with that. Reason being that I'm not going all the way down, fully straightening, is because there was just a lot of, I found I was getting a bit of bicep tendonitis doing that, even with controlled and lighter loads with that specific bicep curl. But so yeah, there you go. Okay, bent over rows. Heavy. Or heavyish for me. So just doing more of a Yates row here, so pausing just below the knee and then driving into the belt line. Trying to get overall back development. Not worrying too much about where I feel it. And yeah, main things, I'm trying to get a little pause at the bottom, no pause at the top, and just trying to get that a little bit better each week with these. I did a back off set after that main set as well. I've done 2 sets of the biceps, 2 sets of that one. And we did 2 sets of single arm lat pull down. I'm probably going to change this because this setup isn't that great. For whatever reason, it just doesn't feel great at the bottom. But yeah, a couple tips for your lat pull down to just make sure you keep the tension on the lat on the way up and keep it in that active range of motion. The first of which, and mainly the main thing, is keep your elbow facing forwards. So as I'm coming up here, you can probably tell I could probably get higher up with my arm if I really wanted to, but what would happen is my elbow would turn out, and when you do that, you actually take the tension quite a bit off the lat. Whereas what I'm doing here is I'm keeping the elbow facing forwards and then driving it towards my hip socket. I'm just trying to keep the tension on the lat whilst getting a great stretch on it as well. And this seems to be, it feels good doing it this way, but on this specific machine, I'm not liking how it feels right at the bottom when I'm driving it in. So I'm probably going to swap that to just like a basic bench setup on a cable machine, or even just a regular lat pull down. So we did 2 sets of that. Then we went on to a heavy T-bar row for 2 more sets. As I get leaner, we might completely take out barbell bent over rows, just because, you know, you're better off doing things ideally that are, you know, you're not having to stabilize as much yourself like this, because then you can just focus on getting that mechanical tension on the old muscles, which is what it's all about. You want to challenge the muscles you're trying to work, obviously. So yeah, we did 1 heavy set here, 2 seconds down, pausing in the stretch. I think we did like 6 reps there, and then we did a back off set, something a bit lighter for more reps, basically. Bicep curls here. So we started the session with the preacher curl, where there's a lot of tension on the shortened range. Now we're doing a bit of an incline, so we get a bit more of a stretch at the bottom. I'm being mindful though. I am trying to just like keep the tension on the bicep. You know, sometimes I do these where I like fully lock out the tricep and straighten the elbow completely. Sometimes I do it how I'm doing it today, where I'm just like, okay, where do I feel the tension stay on, and just keep it there. And these felt fucking nice, if I'm being honest. Felt absolutely great. So excited to see what the results are off the back of running these in combination with targeting them in the shortened range at the start of this session, and then at the start of legs I'm doing the preach curl as well. So excited for the return of the newbie gains of doing biceps multiple times a week. Booyah. And then a little cheeky physique update. So we're sitting at 189 this morning, 189.8. There you go, a little bit shy. Didn't want to do it for too long. And yeah, lowest so far been 186. So obviously, I think I've said that earlier. But yeah, a little bit more carbs in from the off-plan meal the day before this. And then we finished here. This is the last exercise of the day for rear delts. I was actually using that reverse pec deck that's behind, that's got that hooded gentleman on. But sometimes it's good, you know, when you can't get on the piece of kit you usually get on. Like, a lot of guys stress out and think, fucking hell, and you end up flapping. But it's not that deep, and oftentimes, you know, as long as you're not changing every exercise, you know, all the time, sometimes you can find something that feels better. Full session and cardio boxed off. Got his post-workout meal, shitting. So we've got 75 grams of corn, because I know people want to know what it is. 75 grams of cornflakes, 50 grams of whey, 100 grams of blueberries, and some salt. So that's post-workout meal. We've had some intra-workout carbs as well with some creatine. So yeah, that's where we're at. And pull session. So it actually went pretty good. As you can probably see on some of the exercises, I don't know if you've watched some of my videos in the past, I've actually sped up some of my tempos. So off the back of sort of getting more used to the movements that I'm doing, I'm not forcing myself to do the 3-second negatives. I'm just making sure that I'm controlling all my exercises. Some things I might still do like a 3-second negative if it feels good. But instead of being so dogmatic of everything's got to be 3 seconds, 3-second negative, 1 second in the stretch, 1 second in the contraction or what have you. So I can do that from time to time, and I did do it when I got back into bodybuilding style training, just so I didn't have to think, right, that's what I'm doing. Rather than doing that, I'm just kind of going with what feels best. You know, a bit on exercise by exercise basis. And if it's an exercise where typically if I'm really struggling to get used to the technique, I will slow it down. If I'm not feeling it good or what have you, I will usually go down to that, back to that 3-second negative. And I think that is good for skill acquisition. An Australian strength coach did a really good video on this the other day, and it makes complete sense. And he was just saying the main time where you need to go like a much slower tempo, like anything like 3 seconds plus, is if you're trying to learn a new technique of something. Other than that, even just a 1 or 2 second eccentric negative is fine, as long as it's controlled. And I tend to agree with that. I think the other time where a slow, which he didn't touch upon, another time where slow eccentrics or slow negatives is really good, is coming back from injury, because it's going to force you to use less load. And even though that'll mean less mechanical tension, and mechanical tension is one of the drivers of building muscle, it's going
going to keep you from spackering yourself, because the less load, to a certain extent, the less risk. So that's that. So you might see me if I train quads, sometimes I'll do a slower negative, and I might experiment with a slightly faster one. And if I get any pain, I'll revert back to a slower one for a bit. So, you know, them circumstances, if you've got anything that you're rehabbing, I think the really slow eccentrics is something to do. And pausing in the stretch and getting as much out of as little weight as possible is a really good idea during them times. I think that's very sensible. But not all the time. You don't have to do that all the time. And I'm trying it this way. I'm going to try to see if it's more productive. My thought process is, where there could be potential benefits, is if I'm not limiting myself with a 3-second negative and pausing in the stretch, maybe it allows me to progress my list faster, because I'm not getting as tired out on the negative portion. Maybe. We don't know. We'll find out. We shall find that shit out. So yeah, that's first session of the week. Tomorrow we'll do push. Wednesday we'll do legs with our Tom. Tom is competing again this year at some point, and he's looking heavy. He's like 113 something kilos. Peak off season over 18 stone, and he's about 5'6.5". He's massive right now. Bearing in mind I'm like 6 foot on the nose when I'm standing tall, and I'm probably 85 kilos, 86 at the minute, which is like 13.5 stone. So Tom's a lot bigger than me at the minute, like 4.5 stone bigger. He's a big old boy. But yeah, we're training legs with him on Monday, which is always good fun. Just takes a while. Fucking loading up heavy ass plates. Unloading them for me. But yeah, that's where we're at. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully that was valuable in some form. And I shall see you next time. Peace.